Clarice. What up, Specter people? It's I, SUZY, aka Specter, and I had the privilege today to sit down with one of my favorite people, Eric Christopher from Unicode Machine, talking about his latest album, Themes for a Collapsing Empire. Hey guys, what's up? It's Specter, and I'm coming at you again with an interview with an amazing artist. I'll go ahead and let him introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Eric Christopher. I'm with Unicode Machine. This is my project for roughly over 20 years.
Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I'm really excited about your release today. We are filming, but yet today is the release. So it's like dark magic into the future. I'm a big fan, and I really like your music a lot. People always make fun of me for as art as I am, but it has a lot of themes that I've always really enjoyed. And your album that's releasing today, it's Themes for a Collapsing Empire.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, yep, and you can find that on Bandcamp.
You can. I'm going to put so many links on everything. It's just going to be a big pile of links. So, you said you've been doing music for over 20 years. Can you talk about maybe a little bit how you got started?
So music's been part of my family for, on both sides of my mother and father's families for a very long time. Probably for over 80 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, I have a cousin that's actually, or at least he was at one point in time, like a VP at Guitar Center.
Nice.
Which is interesting to find out. Like, I found out that very much later in life. So,
are the genres different, or are you all just really dark, crunchy, stompy electronic musicians?
I will say that throughout history, our families have been very different in regards to styles of music. My mother lended more towards like choral and piano pieces. My family, outside of my father, I had uncles that had jazz albums.
Nice.
I had, for all intents and purposes, you could probably call it classic rock for some of the other members of the family on my father's side.
I definitely feel there's a lot of rock influence in what you do. For those of our people watching this that have never really listened to industrial music, where I grew up, we didn't really have industrial music. Not really. We had like one or two places you could go. And the first time somebody was like, oh yeah, industrial, that's like Rammstein. But for those of you who haven't listened to industrial music, it's basically like dark electronic mixed with rock. I think that's the best way to describe it. And you yourself, you play a menagerie of instruments?
Yeah. The only instrument I'm currently trained in is guitar, but I do keys and guitar. I do some drum work, but yeah, so my entire album is basically all pretty much me, except for one song, which I had requested a friend go ahead and do vocals on.
Yeah, so if you look at some of your past music as well, I've listened to pretty much everything at this point, by the way, which is very exciting. And I've noticed you do have, live performers of sorts, and you do collaborations with people. You've got some amazing covers. I love some of the female vocals that have been added into this album in particular.
Yeah, so this was, so the song you're mentioning is a song called Drift Away. It was co-written by me and Emily Rohn. Emily Rohn is from the band Chiasm. She's been doing music just a little bit longer than Unicode Machine has been a band. I'd say she started Chiasm in 1996, 97, I think. I've done a couple of remixes for her in the past. Well, actually, I did a remix for her in the past, and then I did a remix for a band called Carfax Files, which featured her vocals on it. So I've been very familiar with her work over the past almost 3 decades.
And she still looks incredibly fabulous.
Yes, yeah, she doesn't age.
No, it's probably...
Rowan does not age, and I like to know her secret.
I mean, it's probably weird vampire powers. That's kind of how we're all hanging out together, right?
Either that or she's vegan 100%.
Well, true. You just eat the trees and then you have eternal life, one of those.
Something like that, yeah.
Speaking of the female vocals, so this particular album, you have incredible music. It has a lot of different themes. Each album seems to have its own sort of spicy story to tell. But this one in particular, I really like how there's styles. I think style isn't necessarily the best word for me to use right now. People are going to have to listen to the album to understand what I'm saying. But you've got ones with female vocals. You're kind of aggro tech on a little bit of some of them. There's one song in particular I'm really interested in talking about, and that's the Airman and the Atom Bomb. It's kind of an instrumental, and
it's 100% an instrumental.
It is. You know, like, I kind of talk like this. No, it's an incredible instrumental. I love it a lot, and it really gave me so many feels. And then you told me, once I was listening to it, that it had a story behind it, or that it had an inspiration behind it. So we can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so that was written as, so my grandfather passed in 2020. He was probably the most positive male figure in my life. He wasn't a man of many words, though, so it felt like a proper position to write a song for him without words, because again, he never really said much to me in regards to like how I should live my life. So the song is basically kind of a journey of his life where there's it starts off kind of slightly chaotic, then moving into order, and then kind of trails off into more of a somber state at the end. And the reason for that structure is because my grandfather was actually kind of a rambunctious youth who joined the military and then married and had kids. Well, adopted children. My mother is adopted.
Nice.
And the trail out is kind of an ode to the loss of my grandmother and the loss of my grandfather. My grandmother passed on in 2018, just before my previous album, Tyranny, was released.
Yeah, it's such a powerful album as well. And I definitely felt this song whenever I heard it. I was like, oh my gosh, I have lots of feelings, and it's really hard for me to describe all of them. But I like that there's a story behind it. You have a lot of very kind of personal, passionate messages that I feel you are in your work. Fight, whenever Fight came out, which was the release, which, by the way, made it to number 8 on the DAC. Congratulations. Super proud of you. Round of applause. Round of applause.
So the Deutsche Alternative Charts has actually been kind of a dream of mine to kind of get on.
Can you talk a little bit about what that is for people that aren't familiar with it?
Yeah, sure. The Deutsche Alternative Charts is a kind of like the alternative Billboard charts here in America. They do have alternative Billboard charts in Europe. Billboard charts are actually a global organization, but for the most part, it's a DJ-based voting system. The DJs liked my music enough to go ahead and vote me to number 8, which was really great. I was very appreciative of seeing that and very excited to see, I broke the top 10.
Yeah, we were all like, yeah, we were so excited for you. I know I couldn't shut up about it forever on my stream. But yeah, it's like, for those of you who aren't super familiar, Billboard is kind of based on sales, but the DAC is based on voting. So I feel like that's pretty awesome. I'm very proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks, Mom.
But yeah, no, I love Fight. Fight's become one of my personal mantras, and I don't know how much you'd want to explain about any of your work that you do, but those kinds of songs like that one and Buy Me Now, they have such powerful statements behind them. Is there some kind of weird process that you start with when you're just like, man, I have this feeling and I gotta write it out? Or is it all sort of an organic process? You're like, ooh, this arpeggiator sounds great, and then you turn it into a powerful message. Like, how does that work?
So fun fact, I actually don't use a lot of arpeggiation in my music.
Yeah, I shouldn't talk. I shouldn't make statements like that. It's not okay.
So it really kind of depends on the song and how I'm feeling. For the most part, they kind of will themselves into existence organically. generally something has to happen or some type of news has to have impact on me to really kind of bring those things into fruition.
I've written lyrics for people before, and so for me, it's kind of it's an odd sort of separate process because there's times where someone has sent me, for instance, in the past when I was doing work with Musim, he would say, "Here's this song," and I'd say, "All right, well, what's it called, or what's the vibe, or how does that work?" And he's like, "Well, I'll tell you what the file is called." And then I would just have to make up my own story, which I feel like when you're doing collaborations can be kind of spicy because you never know like what's going to come out of it. But you seem to have like, regardless of how it starts, you're always like, and I have something to tell you, but I'm going to say it in a very crunchy, stompy way, which, I mean, that's how I prefer my messages. I'm just going to throw that out there for you. So, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so a lot of the times the way that my music comes into fruition is that I write the music first, and then the lyrics form themselves around what I've written.
Oh, okay. So it's like you're vibing, then you figure out what the vibe is.
Yep.
I like it. Well, Themes for a Collapsing Empire is an overall great statement. Is there anything in particular that sort of brought that theme into fruition for you?
So the title of the album is a perspective on oneself. It's kind of hard to describe it as being the empire being me. Themes for a Collapsing Empire is the inevitable failure or the inevitable downfall of that. So the overall arc of the album is mostly based around the feelings of regret and loss and self-examination and honestly in some cases self-destruction.
When I listen to a lot of the things, I really love Fight. I always feel like it's sort of my I feel like it's like my punchy fighty song where I'm literally like, I've got to go run 10 miles or something. Not that I ever would do that because I am very old. But I feel like if I needed to do something really powerful, I'd be like, I'm going to, play this song. I really, really like Buy Me Now. I feel like Buy Me Now has become an inside joke on my stream as well, considering the content of it. Do you want to talk about that one at all?
I'm about the song itself or about
Meaning,
the inside joke?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not really familiar with this inside joke you're talking about.
Anytime I have to hear a commercial on something, or anytime I am feeling weird about advertising something, I always hear this song in the back of my head. Yeah. Anytime somebody talks about capitalism or just the feeling of consumerism in general, all I can hear is this song now. So,
well, I would say that's kind of the point of the song,
right? Exactly.
Is that the rampant consumerism and the religion of consumerism is kind of what that song is about, and about how the inevitable downfall of that consumerism, because there's recent things from the Washington Post and New York Times where there's a limit to capitalism as being a means to an end for anything.
Yeah.
And taking that as an example, that's kind of the direction I wrote it under, that, it's the inevitable revolution of the working class and what will satiate that, which in the song I said was blood, and in reality, I'm going to say it's probably still going to be blood.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, that's fair. I feel like that's fair. I think that when it comes to, I don't know, for me, it's just a very powerful statement, and a lot of the art that I do is inspired from music, so if I do like a picture or a makeup look or a full costume even, I'm still working on a couple right now that are all based on sort of the message and the poetry that comes out of music, but that one in particular, especially like if I have, for instance, been streaming your music on my stream, but don't necessarily pay for the premium version of whatever I'm streaming it on. Every time a commercial comes on, I'm like, this song. But anyway, I really like that song. I like a lot of your music, and I feel pretty privileged to have been able to talk to you and hang out with you. I'm really excited for live shows to come back. I want that to be a thing. I feel like Cyber Kids have a leg up because goth kids already had a bunch of gas masks anyway, so if we're all going to congregate in one space, we might as well all be dressed up for it.
Yep. That totally makes sense.
This album is being released today, and so we can find it on Bandcamp. I will put a bunch of links everywhere. Last but not least, I feel like I should have asked you this in the beginning. Can we talk about what Unicode machine actually means?
So, funny story. Unicode machine is actually kind of a weird amalgamation of a couple of key factors in my late teens that I came up with. One, the machine portion of it is from the fact that I had a friend of mine who knew too many Erics. And he knew like 15 or 20 different Erics. And he's like, I don't like that. You're another Eric to add to the pile. And I'm like, okay, just call me Machine.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, that's
a pretty dope nickname, honestly. Like, it could have been a lot worse, honestly.
Well, yeah, I
you got to pick it.
Blaster or something like that.
Well, there's a joke about Wasteland, and if somebody gives you a Wasteland name, you're stuck with it. So I feel like it could have gone a lot worse than Machine Master Blaster.
And then the Unicode portion of it was from so the same friend. We would drive around and listen to music and do things, stuff like that. And there were bands around the time frame that had certain things like Unit 187 and stuff like that. And as a joke, I was like, yeah, I should go ahead and name my band Unicode Machine. And he's like, yeah, that's funny. And I'm like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to do that.
And then you did.
I did. And it stuck. And I liked it. And I was like, okay, this is Unicode Machine. This is my project. This is what I'm going to do. And if people like it, they like it. If they don't,
then, yep, there you go. So with the release today, where can we find you? We can find you everywhere, right? We've got your Bandcamp. You've got a Facebook fan page, which I'm a huge fan of, especially if Carn Dog ever appears. More Carn Dog content requests right here. What else do we have? You have your website?
Yeah, the website actually just redirects to the Bandcamp.
The Bandcamp.
Yep. So if you go to unicode.net, you can get to the Bandcamp very easily. You can find me on Spotify. You can find me on Amazon Music. You can basically find me on every single streaming service you like, or even don't like Pandora.
Man, I remember when Pandora was a college experiment, just like Lizard Man.
I remember when Pandora was actually good.
Oh gosh, are we pretentious now to laugh at that?
Yes, we are. It's been a decade since Pandora was actually a good website.
It's like we're goth, we're super goth now. We're pretentious and laughing about when Pandora was good. It's pretty fun to. There's the playlist on Spotify, Everything Unicode Machine, and I use it a lot. For those of you who don't know, I've talked about this on my stream a lot. Find an artist that you love that has a Spotify playlist or something. Help them earn 1/1 trillionth of a penny, some sort of ghost of a memory of some sort of monetary function by playing their music on your stream, or just enjoy their music on your stream. I feel like that's always helpful. We're not helping certain platinum bands get a second gold pool or anything, so don't steal music that's stupid. If you have $10, to buy a taco. Yes. Now, listen, we've talked about the whole you're not having booty shorts thing, but the point is that you have t-shirts and a bunch of other really great stuff. I've already got my pre-release. Thank you. I'd like to be a hipster about that. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on and talking to me about this. I definitely will hope to see more of your stuff in the future. You are based out of Dallas, which has incredible amounts of crazy weird goth people and art stuff, so I'm hoping we have live shows in the future. I know sometimes we can see you at the church with certain celebrity DJ guest Joe Virus featured on the stream at all times, but anyway.
So there are plans. Right now I'm in discussion with a couple of people to do potentially a tour in late spring, early summer of 2022. The band is Finite Automata. They're based out of Atlanta, Georgia. I've actually been a friend of Dawn's for a little while. Dominic Price, and we've been kind of bouncing the idea back and forth, looking at somewhere in between a 12 and maybe up to 20 dates.
That sounds awesome.
Of a tour. So I'll be reaching out and seeing what we can do in regards to like an Oklahoma show.
I was gonna say that when the moment arrives, please give me a call. And in the meantime, thank you so much for joining me. If you want to go out and get the album right now, kids, please go to unicode.bandcamp.com. I will have 1,000 links everywhere. Be kind to each other, be safe, and thank you so much for being here.
And thanks for having me.
Yes, no worries. Oh yeah, we're gonna keep doing that. I'm gonna play Fight every day, just so that people are gonna be so annoyed. They're just be like, please stop. I'm like, no, I never will stop.
I like the song. It's a good song.
Yeah, I like the song. Also, when does Carn Dog get his own website? Honestly, like we do.
It kind of really depends on how loyal my fan base is. Hopefully the more people who go ahead and get Unicode stuff gives me the capability of finally starting up the stromcarn.com.
Stromcarn. Oh gosh, only like a portion of my demographic will get it, but I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Okay, bye.